Alright guys, what is going on? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the vlog. So today we do have some more stuff coming up for the muscle truck, and I think the package is sitting over here, so I'm going to show you guys. I handed this one a while back, and it has been a while since we've done any muscle truck stuff, so here we are. Calvert Racing CalTracs. I'm going to unbox these and just kind of walk you guys through everything, but yeah, we've been kind of lacking in the muscle truck department, so this is kind of one of the last things I need to do to this rear end to really brace this thing to where it's like 100% ready. So these Calvert Racing CalTracs should do a pretty good job. They should keep the wheel hop down and also keep the truck, you know, from just destroying itself on the rear end. As you guys know, if you've seen some other videos, this thing wheel hops really bad on street tires. So to prevent that, those Calvert Racing CalTracs, it's kind of like a two-link sort of a setup. So they basically attach it to the front hanger and then they brace the rear end. So it works really good with a flip kit too. And if you're wondering, if you have one of these trucks and it's on a big drop like this, on a 5.7 drop, the kit number is 3304. That's going to be the correct one for an OBS Silverado, and it's going to work with a flip kit. If you got any more questions about Calvert Racing, make sure and hit up their website because you can definitely find what you need there. So, yeah. So we're going to get the truck in the air now, and of course if you're working with CalTracs you can't go by the perch on the leaf, so we're going to have to go off the frame. So this is about the safest place to do it from, is right here underneath the cab. Really shows you how much drop this truck actually has when you get it off the ground. That's so crazy. So here's a little underside footage of the muscle truck. A lot of you guys haven't seen how all the magic works underneath with Holly and the cutouts, but basically the sniper, pretty simple. Just has a little O2 sensor that goes in here. Their homemade exhaust seems to be holding up pretty good. And the cutouts, pretty neatly done. The wiring's pretty nice. They work really good. There's no leaks with these. Honestly, Pipes makes a great cutout. And MagnaFlow's mufflers do an awesome job of quietening this thing down and still giving you a nice rumble going down the road when you don't want that drone. They make a really good system for that. So, but time to get to the install. We're going to bring the CalTracs over here and start undoing everything. There's a lot of work to do right here, so let's get into it. Alright guys, so we just disconnected our shocks. That is like the first thing you want to do. And it's basically 18 and 21, which is kind of funny because everything on this truck is like standard and metric. So just, if you're working on it, just get yourself a big old toolbox and be ready, because you're going to have to pretty much use everything you got. So we got the shocks off. We're going to take, next thing we're going to end up doing is getting ready to take this leaf spring and all this good stuff out. I'll probably go ahead and get these fully out of the way just because the rear end does need to drop. And you will need a way to support it. So we do have some stands here that we're going to set this thing on. And go ahead and start removing the rest of this stuff. So we got some bolts up here to take out, and we'll be ready to go. Alright, so we got the rear shocks taken out. Wasn't too big a deal. A little hard to get to, but you know, it's not that bad. So now we're going to start taking apart the leaf springs. So first thing we got to do is get ready to drop all this out. U-bolts shouldn't be too bad. This truck was flip kitted not too long ago, so I expect it to come apart, but you never know. So we're going to go ahead and loosen these up. Get ready to drop this rear end. Alright, so we stripped the U-bolts off. Not too much drama there. Luckily, where this was done pretty recently, everything come right apart. So if you're doing this and you're going to attempt it on an older truck, get you some PV Blaster and soak everything, because it's probably going to give you a fit. So the next step now is to actually get the leaf springs loose from the front, and we're going to also have to press the bearing in this bushing. We're going to have to press this bushing out. So that might be a little bit interesting. Of course, this is a poly bushing. I believe it's all energy suspension, so I'm hoping that it comes right out, but you just don't know till you start pulling it apart. So that's our next step. We're going to go ahead and start doing that, and then we'll show you guys how this thing installs. Well, now we're down to pulling the rest of this out, and this is where it kind of sucks, because it's really hard to get this bolt out. Weight on it, I'm sure. There it is. Be alright? Yeah. Good stuff. Cool. Now we're on to the next step of getting the old bushing out, and it is pretty in there. As you can see, we had a little trouble getting the leaf out too. We're just leaving the back connected, just working with the front right now. That seems to be about the best way to go about it. Which obviously is much harder to do once it's all together if you don't put lubricant on it. So, like I said, this is all energy suspension stuff from like 3 years ago, so it's really easy to pull apart. If you find yourself with a stock truck, this could be much worse. Same story here. Knock your bushing out that way, then we'll flip, do the other side. And just like that, that's how you get your bushings out. But keep in mind, this truck has only been together for about 3 or 4 years, and all this was greased from energy suspension. You may find yourself torching these out, drilling them out. I mean, I don't know what you're going to get into if it's a truck that's 20 years old, never had it out. So probably going to have to torch it out, but it's very interesting to say the least. So now we can go ahead and start assembling the rest of this kit. So one more thing to keep in mind, if you're going to press anything into this, make sure and clean it really good, because this thing it's a press fit, and it's going to be pretty tight if you don't clean it. So we're going to go ahead now and make sure and clean everything out. The kit came with everything, so this is actually what's going to take the place of that. You see, it also gets greased, but it's kind of metal on metal, so I see this kind of welding itself together. It may make things a little interesting, but we're going to go ahead and finish this thing up. Alright guys, so that seemed to work wonders on getting this hole straightened out. But now to go ahead and help press this in, we're going to put some break-in oil on this and use a piece of wood to drive it in. This thing fits so much better now that you get all that rust and debris out of there. So we've got a little bit of break-in oil. We're going to apply it to this inside of this and the spacer, just to kind of keep things from, you know, binding up, welding together with rust and whatever. And this is aluminum, so you don't want to go just pounding on this thing, or you're going to just destroy it. So we are going to drive it in with like a block of wood, and if need be, we'll disconnect it and go to the press and drive it in with that if I have to, but we're going to try this first. I think this is going to be our best bet. So we resorted to removing the leaf, which seemed to be the right thing to do here. Pretty easy. You just got one bolt at the top, take your impact 3/4, and you can just buzz that thing right off, no big deal. So lucky for us, we've got a press, and we're about to put this thing to use. So that's about the best way to do this, is to just press these in. I mean, you could just take the leaf out and probably, you know, get it against something solid and smash it with a hammer, but this seems to be the more practical thing to do. So we're going to move this over here and start pressing it in. Pressing it in. I think we're about there.
I think you got a little more to go, but anyhow.
Yeah, we got a little bit more to go, but that just kind of gives you an idea how we're doing this. So I'm going to finish pressing this in real quick. Alright guys, so if you're going to do this, a press seems to be the best way for sure. So we've got all that evened up. We're actually ready to start assembling the kit now, so we're going to grab the other half of this and chuck it up in the truck. Alright, just making sure everything is properly greased before we go together. Not too big a deal here. Should be able to just wrestle this guy right back up into the hanger. Of course, now we're actually getting really close. We're actually ready to put this piece on. So I'm actually going to grab the other side, because this is the side that we're going to put together. The leaf spring actually goes in this bottom holder. And then the top holder there is where the bar goes. And then you've also got the bolt that the hanger goes through here on the top section. Alright, we got it together. Wasn't too bad. You will need, like I said, this is a two-man job. These things weigh about 60 pounds. So you definitely want a buddy to come and pull this thing and work it around, because it is very difficult to line these back up, and it is a very tight fit. So don't be afraid to use a block of wood and a hammer in some places, but hey, it worked out. So we're gonna go ahead now and put everything back together here and start running our bar up, and we're actually gonna have this side pretty much done. Rear plate on for the U-bolts, everything's happy in the front, but we did notice that when you go to put this together, you can see I'm still need to come up. It is gonna crash into that bottom leaf. So unfortunately, we're probably gonna have to cut a lot of this off or chamfer it or do something else with it because it is not gonna work. All right, there we go. Everything is tightened down. Of course, we're gonna have to cut this, but this just shows you how close. You can see it's already touched my bar there. How close this is when it's actually compressed. I mean, we've actually got the thing. We've got it compressed a little bit though. I mean, if this was full droop, there's no chance. It definitely is gonna hit. So we're for sure gonna have to take some off of this. I'm not sure how much at this point, but we're gonna have to take a look at it. Probably at least an inch or two is gonna have to be removed. But hey, this gives you a good idea of what it looks like. Man, it looks super good under here. Just gonna have to work on that that bottom leaf a little bit there, and we should be good to go. All right, guys. So just a heads up, like we talked about, on an OBS truck with a 5.7 drop, just to be safe, go ahead and bank on 6 inches of material needing to come out. So you can see here just how much we cut out. There's the other side and this side. So you're gonna have to take 6 inches off your bottom leaf, elsewise it's gonna crash. So just to show you now, oh yeah, and that's like pretty much unloaded. So that gives us plenty of travel, no chance of crashing into anything. That looks really good. Alright guys, so we got the other side assembled, everything is good to go. However, when we set everything back down on the leaf, we did notice that it started to hit right here again. And for some reason, maybe on just this truck, I don't know, it could be all of them, for some reason this spring actually was contacting on the passenger side of the truck. So we're going to take an extra 1.5 inches on top of the 6 inches that we took already. So that'll give you enough to clear on the passenger side. It could be different on all trucks, so if you want to go ahead and take another 1.5 inches over the 6 that we took on both, it's not going to hurt anything. But that is just something we ran into over here. Alright guys, so we got everything torqued down. CalTracs are in. We haven't adjusted them yet, but just kind of finished tightening everything up, putting the shocks back in. Just basically a reversal of what you guys saw earlier. Everything's torqued back down. All is good. Got our flip kit stuff back in. There's the Beltec kit. Now, I am running pinion shims in here to kind of keep things happy. They're like 3-degree shims, so that kind of helps get this rear end sorted where it needs to be. And it is kind of lowering my truck a little bit extra too. That's actually lowering the truck like another 1/4 inch, so may end up pulling those out eventually, but for right now, it seems to be pretty happy where it's at. This really wasn't that bad to install, you know, other than cutting up your leaf spring, and you can see just how close those cuts we made actually are. But this is full droop with all the weight on it, so it'll never get any lower than that. We're gonna go ahead and drop this thing down on the ground and start making some adjustments, just our base settings for these. Alright guys, so we got everything back together. Truck's on the ground. CalTracs are in. Man, these things are awesome. They look so good. We did get everything adjusted in. Wasn't too hard to do. We just set the truck on the ground, and then basically to set the preload is pretty simple. You get the truck on the ground, and once the top roller here starts to touch your leaf spring, you can see that guy right there, you can spin that, and as you adjust this bar on the bottom, you'll notice the top gets closer, and what you want to do is get that to where it just touches and put a 1/4 turn on the bottom bar, and then that sets the CalTracs up for kind of their bass tune. Alright guys, so a couple days have passed, and you're probably wondering why I haven't uploaded yet for the CalTrac install, and let's just say things got a little out of hand. So we ended up having some problems with fuel pressure, and noticed that the truck started to become hard to start. You know, it took 2 key cycles. Holly was doing weird stuff. So we dug in a little bit, pulled the bed, decided to look at the fuel system, and turns out there is actually some grounds under there. They're extremely important for Holly to work properly. So if you guys are having trouble out of your Holley system, pull the sending unit, check all your grounds, guys. It will cause nightmare problems with Holley, and it'll shut your truck down. It literally died right there. Like, I was going to film this video and do some stuff with the CalTracs for you guys, and it died. I started up, it died. I couldn't move. So you run the Holley FI, LS swap, anything like that, really pay attention to the sending unit and those wires on top. Double check that, as well as the ground. In our case, it was actually a ground, and it was actually the internal piece in the sending unit where all those wires split. That's where the problem was at. So that they actually broke down in there, and that ground was never getting anywhere. We ohmed it out and checked everything. Sure enough, that's what it was. So we're back in business. We got to put the bed back on, but the CalTracs, this is kind of a good way to see it right now. They're all hooked up. We've already adjusted everything to where this roller is coming in contact with this. As you're moving, you want a little bit of contact there. Actually, with the bed off, it's rolling right now because there's less weight. Once we put the bed on, this will touch. So this is the exhaust setup and how we attached it, in case you guys were wondering. These are two Magna Flows, and there's actually a convenient little place here to attach your hanger. This whole system can be dropped out. There's no welds in any of this. So here's another cool thing about EFI, guys. Normally, when you cold start a carbureted vehicle, this would have threw black, like sooty stuff all over the floor. I mean, it would cover the floor. Check this out. That's water. Water vapor. Tells me that this thing is running absolutely, like, almost perfectly. So we went to crank this thing for the first time after doing this little correction here with the grounds. Fired right up. I mean, instantly, the best it's ever started. So just keep that in mind, guys. If you're working with Holley, check this out right here. This ground, this wiring harness on top of the sending unit, they will fail. It is possible that you won't get fuel because your ground wires that go to your sending unit, that go to your pump, have failed. It will not kick it on. Your relay will work, everything will work. You can even test your fuel pump on an external battery, and it still leads back to, does the power get through this actual connector? So there you go, guys. Just a quick update. We're gonna go do some ripping in this thing here later, and we're gonna see how these CalTracs work. So I just want to fill you in on where we've been and why this video is late about being posted. So, all right, let's give it a crank. Bed's back on, everything's tightened back down. Let's see how quick it starts here. So this should be a night and day difference. Let's see if we can hear our pump run. Yep. And one other thing I just noticed, the pump sounds much healthier. I mean, it's very loud now, and it's really obvious that the pump is running. So check your grounds, guys. Here we go. First crank. That's so awesome. Oh, man. So, yeah, guys, if you're running Sniper and you notice yourself having to cycle the key and all this stuff, check your grounds. It's probably something really minor, and in our case, it was pretty minor. Sending unit is about 77 bucks. Well worth replacing while you're in there, just to avoid any further problems. So everything is pretty normal here. It's warming up, and then we're gonna freaking let her rip here. Here we go, first gear. Woo! Oh my gosh, that's so fun. Dude, it hooks up really good. What do you think? Yeah. It hooked up really good. The tune is still learning a little bit from when we changed all that out. Now it's got like the pressure that it needs and everything, but wow. Man, this thing like dead hooks with CalTracs on it. Holy crap. That's a big change. Like, night and day. I mean, night and day. It used to wheel hop really bad. That was first gear. Used to in this truck, first gear, you would literally like wheel hop so bad. It would be all over the place. This shifter would like hit your leg. It would wheel hop so bad. Like, it felt like the truck was breaking in two. And now it's like solid. I mean, it's really solid. And it feels way more controlled too. Like it's not as out of hand as it was before. So we left the cutout shut so we wouldn't attract too much attention with this thing. But yeah, that's definitely a whole lot better. Wow. Alright guys, so this is the second half of the CalTracs install video. I originally actually wasn't going to do this, but I come across a really good deal on a set of wheels, and I love my drag pack setup, don't get me wrong. Like, as far as on the street, performance is incredible. But I wanted a tire I could deal with every day, and a setup that if I got caught in the rain, I wouldn't be scared, all that good stuff. It's just easier to drive around on the street. And if we do more road trips like we did to Truck Nationals, I don't want to drive that on a drag pack setup, especially with a radial on the back. That's pretty scary. So I run across the deal on something, and I'm going to reveal it to you. Oh yeah. Riddler 607s. Brand new tires. I picked these up on Facebook Marketplace from a really cool guy here local. And, oh man, I am super stoked to put these on. Now, okay, hear me out. The tires on these are not really that great. So they're just like a generic street tire. It's gonna spin. Like, the truck is going to absolutely obliterate these tires. I'm sure that it's gonna make tons of tire smoke. So we might do something really fun with these later on, but hear me out. We're definitely gonna change these tires. The rears are like this really weird size. They're 255 45 20s, which that is not going to work for us at all. We're obviously going to put like 285 35s or 305 35. We're going to put something pretty wide on there. Probably going to have to stay around a 285 35 20. The fronts, I believe we're going to be able to get away with those. They're 245 40 20s. I'm okay with that. I'm probably going to leave those alone, but we will be changing up the rear tires to probably some R888s or, you know, something that's going to have a little bit more traction, because these generic tires in the rear are just not going to cut it. This truck is going to blow these away. But I do like the Riddler wheel, and the guy was selling these at a really good price, and I can't buy them new for what I got the wheels and tires for. I can't buy the wheels alone new for what I just paid for the wheels and the tires. So I couldn't pass them up. Dude posted them like 8 hours ago, and I jumped all over them. So now we're going to toss these on the truck and see how they look. So this video is kind of taking another turn, and I didn't really expect to do this, but yeah, I like doing surprises for you guys sometimes. So we're going to mix it up and throw some 20s on here. All right, boys, here they are. They are on. Oh my gosh, look how different it looks now. Man, I got to say, 20s seriously look really good on these trucks. Oh man, look at that. Woohoo! Move this junk out of the way. Oh dude, that looks so good. Oh my gosh, the fitment is spot on for the front. Like, that is max specs. Honestly, we need to drive that. It may try to touch a little bit. I don't know. Oh, it's gonna be close, super close. Just gonna have to let it settle and drive it, man. I don't know. That is really, really close in the front. I have no clue if that's gonna work. We're just gonna have to drive it. So, in a comment down below, boys, I wanna know, I wanna get your thoughts. Let me know what you think. Do you like the 20s on the street setup, doing the Pro Touring setup, or do you guys like the drag pack setup better? Let me know in the comments down below which one you like better. You like the fat, meaty tire in the back, all the grip, all the performance? Or do you boys like the 20s with the Pro Touring look better? Let me know down below, which setup should I keep on the muscle truck, at least for this year. We'll switch them out in between, but let me know what you think in a comment down below. Alright guys, so it's been a couple days, and I hate to drag this thing out, but we did have some serious issues when we went to the other side. I didn't film it because I was so wrapped up in trying to fix the thing that I was so aggravated I didn't even want to share it with you guys. So now I'm gonna share it with you. One of the wheels got stuck on the truck. And it's actually this one right here. So pretty much the worst thing that can happen, freaking happened. So if you guys are familiar with Race Stars, they're, you know, a pretty decent wheel. I mean, it's not like a, you know, any kind of a quality issue or anything, but one issue that I did have was one of the lug nuts basically got stuck onto the stud, and then as you can see, the serrations in the back of the rotor turned loose, and this sucker was spinning just like this through the wheel into the rotor, and it was stuck on the truck. And it literally ripped the wind out of my sails. Like, I was so aggravated, I was mad, I didn't even film it, I didn't want to share it with you guys, so I ended up going ahead, taking all that out, and I had to get really creative with getting a wheel off with the caliper and everything, rotor stuck on it. So I want to walk that, you know, just kind of walk, I want to walk you guys through what it's like if you get a lug nut stuck on an OBS Silverado. Here's how you can get it off without cutting up anything. So let's say the wheel stuck on this lug nut, it won't come out, stud stuck on there. Best thing to do, guys, if you've got a center cap, Riddlers don't, so they kind of do, they kind of don't. It's going to be hard to get it off, but on a Race Star wheel, you can take your center cap off, get to the dust cap, drill a hole off center on the dust cap, get you a pry bar or some kind of, you know, something you can work in there, screwdriver, something like that, and you're going to want to wedge it at an angle, and then it'll pop out. I know it sounds crazy, but it freaking works. So you pop your dust cap out, take your castle nut off, you're gonna disconnect all your lines to the caliper and the bolts to the caliper, and then put a towel in the wheel because you're gonna absolutely mangle your wheel trying to do this. Make sure that caliper is nice and tucked in there, and you can pull the whole thing off, rotor, caliper, and all, and get to the back of the stud and grind it out. That is literally what it took, and we've been at it for like, basically it took an entire night to get the stud ground out. Like seriously, it was like 30 minutes of grinding to get the stud out. I just figured I would share it with you guys instead of show you because we were doing a lot of trial and error and I just wanted to get it done. So we did get through it. However, once I got everything off, we run into more issues the other night. I went to take the bleeder screw loose on my old caliper, and guess what? It was froze. Imagine that. So it ended up rounding the top off. Couldn't get it out. Tried to drill it out. Of course, that contaminated the system. And now this is where we're at. We've got new calipers, new rotors, new bearings. Dust caps are even new. I mean, we've crossed all our T's and dotted all our I's here. This thing is 100% brand new. I really didn't expect to do that because this was supposed to just be putting wheels on and sharing something really cool with you guys. But, you know, these things happen. So be aware of that. Sometimes the simplest, dumbest stuff turns out to be a nightmare, kind of what this was. So now we're like, you know, I'm full-time job. Obviously, I only have like a couple hours a night to work on it. So here we are piddling in the shop again on night 3. But yeah, now I'm putting everything back together finally. Trying to get it done for the weekend so we can actually go rip this thing again and see how she does with the new wheels and tires and all that. I can't wait to reveal this to you guys. So I'm going to quit running my mouth and go ahead and put the rest of this thing back together so I can share the new setup with you guys. So we got to put a caliper on and bleed the brakes. That's kind of where we're down to. I got to do the other side, and then we're going to put this thing on the ground after we bleed the brakes and show you guys the new Riddler setup. I do think I'm going to be trimming these fenders. I did try to roll them a little bit at one time. It's very hack job-ish, so it works, but it's not the greatest thing in the world, so we probably will have to trim for that. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead, throw this back on, button it up. I'm not going to bore you guys to death with normal maintenance stuff, but that's what we ran into. I just wanted to share it because, you know, these things happen. All right, boys, everything is tightened down. Fenders have been trimmed in the front just to be sure. We're going to take this thing for a little test drive, see how it does. Of course, it's a little bit cooler today. It's about 50 degrees, so obviously it's probably going to spin on these tires. But the main thing is we're just getting a street setup together. That way we can take this thing on road trips, go wherever we want to go. Let's pull this thing out and see what she looks like. gonna spin. Let's see if it wheel hops. Oh my gosh! Did you boys see that? It was all over the road, man. But hey, guess what? No wheel hop. Yes, that's what I've wanted. No wheel hop, no destruction to the rear end or the transmission. That's exactly what we needed. That is perfect. All right, guys, I'm gonna head on back to the house, tuck this thing away and get it off these semi-salty roads. And that's gonna do it for this upload. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little montage of CalTracs and new wheels and tires. So if you like what you see, be sure and hit the subscribe button if you've made it this far into the video. And go ahead and ring the bell while you're at it. You're gonna get notified every time I do an upload. So I wanna thank you guys for watching. I'm gonna do another quick pull, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.